Warning: his video contains details of real crime cases. Watch with caution. If you're a fan of true crime investigations and want to follow more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any case. In the scorching afternoon of July 15th, 2019, the facade of suburban tranquility in the quiet town of Millbrook, Connecticut, was shattered, leaving a community in profound shock. At the epicenter of this tragedy were the Callaways. Everett, a 45-year-old investment banker known for his relentless work ethic and community involvement, and his wife Sienna, a 43-year-old yoga instructor with a vivacious personality that drew people to her like moths to a flame. The Callaways resided in a stately colonial home on Maple Grove, a street lined with mature trees and manicured lawns. Their neighbors, the Reeves family, consisted of Cordelia, a widow in her early 60s, and her 19-year-old son, Jasper, a college sophomore home for the summer break. The Reeves had moved to Millbrook 5 years prior, and while more reserved than the outgoing Callaways, they were generally well-regarded in the community. Everett and Sienna Callaway seemed to embody the American dream. Their apparently perfect marriage was the envy of many in Millbrook. Everett's career at a prestigious Hartford firm was on an upward trajectory, while Sienna's yoga studio had become a popular local fixture. They were fixtures at community events, from charity galas to neighborhood barbecues, always presenting a united front of success and contentment. However, beneath this carefully cultivated image of domestic bliss, the Callaway marriage was crumbling. Everett, driven by ambition and the pressure to climb the corporate ladder, was frequently absent from home. His long hours at the office and frequent business trips left Sienna feeling increasingly isolated and unfulfilled. The couple's inability to conceive children, despite years of trying, added another layer of strain to their relationship, transforming their once happy home into a breeding ground for unspoken resentments and painful secrets. Sienna, once vibrant and outgoing, began to withdraw from her social circles. Her smile, once genuine, became a mask she wore to hide her growing despair. Everett, consumed by his work and the pressure to maintain their lifestyle, failed to notice the widening emotional chasm between them. Their conversations, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, became perfunctory exchanges about schedules and household matters. As the summer of 2019 wore on, the tension in the Callaway household reached a breaking point. Sienna, starved for emotional connection, found herself drawn to the youthful energy and attentiveness of Jasper Reeves. What began as innocent conversations over the fence gradually evolved into something more significant, a fact that did not go unnoticed by the ever-watchful eyes of Millbrook's residents. Rumors began to circulate in hushed tones at the local country club and during PTA meetings. The perfect couple of Maple Grove was showing cracks in their facade, and the town buzzed with speculation. Some sympathized with Sienna, seeing her as a neglected wife. Others criticized her for potentially jeopardizing her marriage. Everett, oblivious to the whispers, continued his grueling work schedule, blind to the storm brewing in his own backyard. The stage was set for a collision of lives that would forever alter the peaceful existence of Millbrook. The idyllic summer days were about to give way to a tragedy that would leave no one untouched, challenging the community's perceptions of love, loyalty, and the hidden complexities of seemingly perfect lives. As July 15th dawned, none of the principal players in this unfolding drama could have predicted how their actions and choices would coalesce into a perfect storm of circumstances, leading to an irreversible act that would send shockwaves through Millbrook and beyond. On the fateful afternoon of July 15th, 2019, the tranquil facade of Maple Grove was shattered in a matter of moments. Everett Callaway, who had left for work early that morning as usual, returned home unexpectedly around 2:30 p.m. His sudden appearance would set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the lives of those involved and send shockwaves through the community of Millbrook. As Everett's car pulled into the driveway, neighbors later recalled noticing nothing out of the ordinary. The sun beat down on the perfectly manicured lawn, and the house stood silent, giving no indication of the turmoil about to unfold within its walls. Everett, his mind preoccupied with a canceled meeting, entered his home, expecting to find it empty. What he discovered instead would change everything. As he ascended the stairs to the master bedroom, intending to retrieve some forgotten documents, Everett heard muffled sounds coming from behind the closed door. Puzzled and increasingly uneasy, he pushed the door open, revealing a scene that would be forever seared into his memory. There, in the bed he shared with his wife, Everett found Sienna entangled with Jasper Reeves. The shock of the discovery froze him momentarily, his mind struggling to process the betrayal unfolding before his eyes. In that instant, the carefully constructed world Everett had built came crashing down around him. As dawn broke the next day, the investigation widened. Neighbors on Maple Grove found themselves at the center of intense scrutiny. Mrs. Eleanor Prentice, an elderly resident known for her keen observational skills, provided crucial testimony. She reported seeing Jasper enter the Calloway home on multiple occasions over the past month, always when Everett was known to be at work. Forensic evidence began to paint a clearer picture of the crime. The crystal bookend, still stained with Jasper's blood, was confirmed as the murder weapon. DNA analysis corroborated the accounts of the affair, while time of death was established to align with Everett's unexpected return home. As the investigation progressed, Detective Kingsley delved deeper into the lives of those involved. Financial records revealed mounting pressures on Everett at work, with several high-risk investments teetering on the brink of failure. Interviews with Sienna's friends unveiled a woman struggling with depression and a sense of abandonment in her marriage. Jasper Reeves' background came under scrutiny as well. His college records showed a bright but troubled young man with a history of romantic entanglements with older women. This pattern added another layer of complexity to the case, raising questions about the nature of his relationship with Sienna. Social media became an unexpected source of evidence. A deep dive into the digital lives of those involved revealed subtle hints of the brewing storm. Cryptic posts by Sienna hinted at her emotional turmoil, while Jasper's online activity showed an increasing fixation on the Calloway family. As weeks passed, the case captivated the nation. Media trucks became a constant presence on Maple Grove, their satellite dishes beaming images of the picturesque street turned crime scene to millions of households. The tragedy became a talking point, sparking debates about infidelity, crime of passion, and the hidden troubles lurking behind suburban facades. Detective Kingsley, feeling the weight of public scrutiny, worked tirelessly to ensure no stone was left unturned. Each piece of evidence, every statement, was scrutinized and cross-referenced. The investigation was building towards a conclusion, but as Kingsley would soon discover, the path to justice in this case would be far from straightforward. As the investigation into the Maple Grove tragedy entered its third week, a series of revelations began to shift the narrative, adding layers of complexity to what had initially seemed a straightforward case of a crime of passion. The turning point came on a rainy Tuesday morning when Detective Zara Kingsley received an anonymous tip. The caller, later identified as a junior associate at Everett Calloway's firm, provided information that would dramatically alter the course of the investigation. According to the tipster, Everett had been involved in a series of high-risk, potentially illegal financial maneuvers in the months leading up to the incident. This new information cast Everett's actions in a different light. Was his unexpected return home on that fateful day truly a coincidence, or was it driven by mounting pressure from his professional life? Detective Kingsley and her team quickly pivoted, diving deep into Everett's financial records and professional communications. What they uncovered was a web of deceit that extended far beyond the bounds of the Calloway home. Everett, it seemed, had been teetering on the brink of financial ruin. His outwardly successful career masked a series of failed investments and mounting debts. The pressure to maintain the facade of success had driven him to increasingly desperate measures. Simultaneously, Sienna Calloway's personal diary was discovered, hidden in a locked drawer in her yoga studio. Its contents provided a raw, unfiltered look into her state of mind in the months leading up to the tragedy. Entries spoke of deep-seated unhappiness, feelings of invisibility in her marriage, and a growing emotional connection with Jasper Reeves. However, the diary also revealed Sienna's guilt and her attempts to end the affair, painting a picture of a woman torn between desire and duty. As these new pieces of evidence came to light, public opinion began to shift. The media, which had initially portrayed Everett as a man driven to violence by betrayal, now began to explore the complexities of the case. Talk shows debated the pressures of maintaining a perfect image in suburban America, while financial experts dissected the culture of risk and secrecy in the banking world. The case took another unexpected turn when Cordelia Reeves, in a televised interview, revealed that her son Jasper had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder the previous year. This information added another dimension to the tragedy, raising questions about Jasper's state of mind and the nature of his relationship with Sienna. As these revelations came to light, the legal strategies began to evolve. Everett's defense team, led by the charismatic attorney Maxwell Rosenberg, began to build a case around temporary insanity, arguing that the combination of financial stress and the shock of discovering the affair had pushed Everett beyond rational thought. The prosecution, however, led by the tenacious district attorney Vanessa Cortez, maintained their stance. They argued that regardless of the circumstances, Everett's actions constituted second-degree murder. The discovery of Everett's financial misdeeds, they contended, only strengthened the case against him, providing a potential motive beyond mere jealousy. As the case progressed towards trial, the town of Millbrook found itself divided. The tragedy had exposed the fragile nature of the suburban ideal, forcing residents to confront uncomfortable truths about the secrets that can lurk behind perfectly manicured lawns and pristine facades. With the trial date looming, all eyes turned to the courthouse. The question on everyone's mind was no longer just about Everett's guilt or innocence, but about the very nature of truth and justice in a world where nothing is as simple as it first appears. The trial of Everett Calloway began on a crisp autumn morning, exactly 3 months after the tragic events on Maple Grove. The Millbrook County Courthouse, a stately building of red brick and white columns, stood as a silent witness to the proceedings that would captivate the nation for the next 4 weeks. Each day, the courtroom was filled to capacity, with journalists, local residents, and curious onlookers vying for seats. The air was thick with tension as both the prosecution and defense presented their cases, weaving narratives that attempted to make sense of the senseless. District Attorney Vanessa Cortez painted Everett as a man driven by a toxic combination of jealousy and financial desperation. She meticulously laid out the evidence, from the blood-stained crystal bookend to the damning financial records that revealed Everett's precarious professional situation. Cortez argued that the murder was not a crime of passion, but a calculated act by a man who saw his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. Defense attorney Maxwell Rosenberg, in contrast, presented Everett as a victim of circumstances beyond his control. He spoke of the immense pressures of maintaining a perfect facade in suburban America, the strain of financial difficulties, and the devastating emotional impact of discovering his wife's infidelity. Rosenberg's impassioned plea for understanding and empathy resonated with many jurors who saw reflections of their own struggles in Everett's story. The testimony of Sienna Calloway proved to be a pivotal moment in the trial. Her tearful account of the events leading up to that fateful day, including her own feelings of isolation and the complexities of her relationship with Jasper, left the courtroom in stunned silence. Her words humanized all involved, reminding everyone of the real lives forever altered by this tragedy. As the trial progressed, expert witnesses added layers of complexity to the case. Psychologists debated the effects of prolonged stress and betrayal on the human psyche, while financial experts dissected the culture of risk and secrecy that had contributed to Everett's professional downfall. After 4 weeks of emotional testimony and intense legal arguments, the case was handed over to the jury. Their deliberations lasted 3 days, a period during which Millbrook held its collective breath. When the verdict was finally announced, it sent ripples through the community and beyond. Everett Callaway was found guilty of second-degree murder, but with a recommendation for leniency due to mitigating circumstances. The judge, taking into account all factors, sentenced Everett to 18 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 12 years. The verdict and sentencing sparked intense debate. Some felt justice had been served, while others argued the sentence was too harsh or too lenient. The case had exposed deep-seated issues within the community, the pressure to maintain appearances, the isolation lurking behind perfectly manicured lawns, and the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition. In the aftermath of the trial, Millbrook struggled to heal. The Callaway house on Maple Grove stood empty, a silent reminder of the tragedy. Sienna, unable to face the memories, moved away to start anew. Life. Cordelia Reeves became an advocate for mental health awareness, channeling her grief into a mission to help others. As months turned into years, the case of Everett Callaway became more than just a local tragedy. It sparked national conversations about the hidden pressures of suburban life, the importance of mental health, and the complex nature of justice in a world where right and wrong are not always clearly defined. 5 years after the tragic events on Maple Grove, the ripple effects of the Callaway case continued to resonate through Millbrook and beyond. The quiet suburb, once a symbol of the American dream, had become a case study in the complexities of human nature and the fragility of perceived perfection. Everett Callaway, now in his 4th year at Millbrook Correctional Facility, had become a model inmate. He led financial literacy classes for fellow prisoners, helping them prepare for life after incarceration. His story of ambition, deceit, and ultimate downfall became a cautionary tale in business ethics courses. Across the country, Sienna Callaway, having legally changed her name, found a new purpose as a counselor for victims of domestic violence in a city hundreds of miles from Millbrook. Her experiences had given her a unique perspective on the hidden struggles within seemingly perfect relationships. Though she never returned to Maple Grove, her impact on Millbrook endured through a scholarship fund she anonymously established. In Jasper Reeves' name, Cordelia Reeves emerged as a powerful voice in mental health advocacy. The foundation she created in memory of Jasper had successfully lobbied for increased funding for mental health services in Connecticut. Her annual Walk for Awareness in Millbrook drew participants from across the state, turning tragedy into a force for positive change. Detective Zara Kingsley, haunted by the case that had defined her career, wrote a book examining the intersection of personal and professional pressures in suburban America. Her insights sparked a national dialogue about the masks people wear and the importance of authentic connections in an increasingly isolated society. Maple Grove itself had changed. The Callaway house, after years of standing empty, was purchased by a nonprofit organization and converted into a community center focusing on financial education and mental health resources. The street that once whispered with secrets now buzzed with open conversations and supportive networks. As for Millbrook, the town had undergone a subtle but significant transformation. The facade of perfection had cracked, but from those fissures grew a more resilient and empathetic community. Neighbors checked in on each other more often, and community events now included workshops on stress management and financial planning. The media occasionally revisited the case, particularly around anniversaries, but the tone had shifted from sensationalism to reflection. Documentaries and think pieces explored the broader implications of the tragedy, examining how societal pressures, mental health, and the pursuit of an idealized life can intersect with devastating consequences. In the end, the Calloway case became more than just a true crime story. It served as a mirror, reflecting the hidden complexities of modern suburban life. It challenged perceptions of success, loyalty, and justice, forcing individuals and communities to confront uncomfortable truths about the lives we lead and the secrets we keep. As Millbrook continued to heal and grow, the lessons learned from that fateful summer day in 2019 remained etched in the collective consciousness. The tragedy on Maple Grove stood as a somber reminder of the importance of genuine connections, open communication, and the recognition that behind every perfect facade, there lies a human story filled with struggles, hopes, and the ever-present potential for both tragedy and redemption.